Welcome everybody to the Next Step Show. We have our special guest, my dear friend Arian. Arian, how you doing, brother?
I'm well, thank you, Pavel.
Good. And today we are going to be talking about early startups and how can investors or founders of new startups, new tech companies can actually seek for money, ask for money. But first, let me tell you that if you are looking to expand your business, hire a professional to work outside your office virtually, you need to look at VirtueDesk. VirtueDesk is our sponsor, and VirtueDesk is the virtual assistant company that provides virtual assistants who can work for your company outside your office remotely and for a fraction of a cost. Now we out of it, so let's get to NextMe. Arian Abdulkader, he's a founder of a tech startup, NextMe, and he's been a good friend of mine for a while, for a long time actually. And you are the guy who actually I would turn for any advice if I were to look for funding. So here you are, and so tell us something about yourself, man. Tell us what you've learned. You went through the big journey of of building your company and to getting some funds for it, and what have you learned?
A lot. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah.
A lot, and funding is it's a good learning process and learning curve. It's not impossible. You only need that one investor to believe in you, and that investor will help you to get another investor on board. But it is a journey. You do have to. It has to make sense to you as an individual and to the investor as well as a scalable business. Ultimately, not every business needs investors.
So let me clear up for people who may not understand what we're talking about. But whenever, let's say, you open a company or a tech startup, you need some money to operate, to hire talent, to basically run the business. And sometimes what founders of the companies do, they go to outside investors. Well, basically, there's two ways to get money. One of them, as I said before in the show, you can invest your own money, which means self-funded, or you can be outside funded, which means you go to outside investors. It could be your friends, family, angel investors, or big VC companies that actually give out money in exchange for equity to the entrepreneurs so they could actually start their businesses and run their companies. And Arian, I know it's extremely hard for a brand new company that still doesn't generate much of an revenue to get some money from outside investors, right?
Yeah, it's hard not only actually for early stage startups like NextMe, but it's also hard for a bigger company, a Series A or Series B or Series C round, and to raise
for
funding.
those people who do not know, what is Series A and B and C? Could you tell us?
So yeah, seed basically it's an early stage funding that you raise angel investors, family, or so there's a family friend round funding, and then there's Series C between $500,000 all the way up to sometimes 5 million. It depends on the industry. More likely in the up to $3 million range of round, and then you'll have a $3 million of funding from investors in the seed round. How long would this runway work? Is it for 18 months or 24 months? And then you need to think ahead 6 to 9 months to get ready to go for basically another funding tour for Series A round. Mm-hmm. And then you're looking to raise another between $5 to $12 million or $20 million, whatever the amount the company needs.
So
but there are different stages.
What's usually needed? Like, let's say somebody thinks, okay, I have a good business idea. Why don't you just go and get a couple $1 million from investors and be happy? We actually know sometimes people just specifically organize startups just to raise funds, and that's their end goal. How and probably the investors know about it as well. So how do they vet through legitimate ones, that do want to, like your company that actually is operational and providing value to the consumer, versus those who just have a, let's say, so-called like a dummy dummy startup that gets just gets the money? How do they vet through that? How does it work?
So there's different type of founders, right? There's different ways of raising funds. You can actually do it in any way. It's possible to do it in any way, as long as you find that investor that believes in the idea or the concept. There's startups like NextMe. Basically, I'm a first-time founder, so I had to start from scratch, right? And basically,
so this is your first business, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, first legitimate business with investors involved. Yeah,
so
and so we had, and we had to also. I couldn't just put a pitch deck together and go raise funds because I haven't done it in the past. So what we did was we focused on building a team first. So we put a team together, and then we build a small MVP. So a team
MVP for those
minimum viable product. And basically we only focused on iOS. We launched the NextMe MVP stage for the first 6 to 8 months, and we put it in users' hands. We got tractions, we got partners, we got revenue from it, and that's how we generated our investor from the MVP stage. Now, once we got the investor involved, now we have a little more, a lot better quality product with the funds that we received. But there's also founders who can go out there and raise a lot of funds without even starting the business, just on an idea base. But they've done it before, and they have the connections to do it.
Okay, so the question is, how do you actually scout for investors and find investors who are? This is from what I heard, this is a pretty much a full-time job in out of itself, to go and look for people who would invest into your business, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So you don't want to reach out to every investor, right? You don't want to reach out to every investor at every. So it depends on what stage you're in the startup, right? If you're an early stage, you may, so let's use Madrona VC firm in Seattle, for example. They do invest in early stage startups, and they don't, right? It depends. It depends on the business model, and also it depends if they actually. So, what type of business are you? Before you approach an investor, you have to look at their profile. Are they focused on consumer base, or is it a B2B? Are they investing in B2B or consumer platforms, or is it just medical? You don't want to, if you have a consumer product, you don't want to reach out to a VC firm or investor that focuses in medical or So you have to have a good understanding. You can't, just because they're angel investors or they're investors, it doesn't mean you go and seek them for money. And you also have to understand your what stage and what level you're at. If you wanted to raise your seed round, you may not want to reach out to Madrona. You may want to be like, hey, let me save this contact or this meeting when I'm in my Series A round. You don't want to go up to Mark Cuban, for example, from Shark Tank. Hey, I have an idea. Can you invest in me? You want to build a product, build a team, have revenue, and then go to Mark Cuban. So you don't,
that's right. And interestingly, when my company started going, I've been actually hit up by a few investors, and several I talked to, and they say, well, you got to be at least at $3 million annual revenue for us even to consider investing. So. And at that point, I'm kind of like figuring, well, it's either like, if I have that kind of a revenue, why do I need an investor, right? So that's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, and you can do that. I mean, and a lot of VCs and investors do consider a certain amount of revenue, and before they invest,
they want to see that the company is actually viable. What
do you
market?
Yeah,
there, right?
Exactly. And it makes sense. And just because you have, you have $3 or $4 or $5 million in revenue, you may also want to consider seeking more funding to blitz scaling your business to the next level, right? And you need more funding to fuel it. If it's marketing team, adding a marketing team, or more heavy tech, or pivoting into a different area or different business. So you may need funding that route, but also once you have, I honestly think users trump revenue. If you have a certain amount of users on your platform, you can get funding a lot faster than if you have zero revenue.
That's what happened to Facebook, right?
Yeah, exactly. Facebook didn't their revenue. They didn't have a revenue model till late 2008-9.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So they had all the user base, but they're like, what next, right? And then ads came, and the users are the.
And what just for so people understand, when investors give you money for your company, they are looking at an exchange for an equity and a stake in your company. So sometimes you can give away, like, I don't know, 10, 15%, probably, I don't know. But the ultimate question is, how much of a equity versus control do you have to give away in order to attract funds? So, that's, I mean, all investors are different. So, Arian, what's your thoughts on that?
So, you don't have to give control away of the company at a very early stage, right? And then and if you actually have the right investors involved and understands, because investing it actually is more of a marriage and more of a long-term partnership. You're going to be with this person for the next 5 to 7 to 10 years, but in terms of you have to. You have to understand, what investors you're looking for, and you if you want to look to raise $2 million, for example, you're going to say, I'm only going to give up 15% or 20% equity stake of the company, and then the remaining 80% is going to be for Series A, another 20% for Series A, another 20% for Series B, and Series C will be 5%. So everybody will gradually get diluted, but also the valuation of the company goes up. But in the early stage, giving up, if you're looking to raise $2 to $3 million, giving up 20 to 25% of your company, it's not a big deal, and don't fight over a point there and there, because you want to make sure everybody comes on board, are happy and excited about the partnership and long-term commitment. And if that extra 1% or 2% makes that investor happy, let go of it. Think ahead.
Okay. So, but I've heard, and I actually heard some horror stories that some. Let me just backtrack a little bit. What I heard, there are two types of investors: New York types of investor and Silicon Valley types of investors. And New York type of investors, they are more likely to grab control of the company, and sometimes can even fire you as a founder from the company. Whereas the Silicon Valley investors will probably work with you, side by side to actually get you to that next level, and help you with the, with scaling, with basically getting to a level, getting to the connections that you need.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, have you heard of that?
Well, it all depends on the investor that you're going to partner with. It doesn't matter if they're in Seattle, New York, Boston, or San Francisco. It all depends on the investor team that's going to get involved. And are you guys? Is it a good relationship? Short term and long term, that has to click. But that's all on the investor and the partnership.
Okay, and that really helps. And let's talk about before we talk about the next subject, I want to say that another sponsor of today's podcast is Nexus Realty. If you're a real estate agent in Seattle area and you're looking to hang your license at a company that is cloud-based, 100% virtual, and offers 100% commission, please check out Nexus Realty in Kirkland, as the company will offer you 100% commission. You can also generate leads through the company and receive a full support while never setting foot in the office, because Nexus Realty is a 100% cloud-based, 100% commission office. Thank you, and yeah, that's very interesting, Arian. This is very exciting, and so my next question, I was kind of like pondering about that for a while. So let's get back to control. Well, not actually to control, but let's say, for example, besides the money, I mean, anybody can get you money, because money is not, let's say, hard to find commodity right now. There's plenty of money out there. What do you think is more important? Do you think it's more important to get the funds you need, or it's important to get the connection that you need, or the wisdom that comes, and the way that your investor essentially becomes your partner, that you work hand in hand, more of a like partnership versus investor and founder?
All that is important, and especially for an early stage, you need fuel, you need money, you need some dough to fuel up the company and the startup, and paying if you have a tech team, or if you have a production team, or design team, whatever, you need, and you need marketing funds, right? So you need to basically not only build a good product, but you have to have money to do some marketing with it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But, it is important. The funding is important. But if you're looking for advisors, you can bring on advisors without having them be
having them be partners, basically. Yeah.
Advise you in a startup, and where have they done this in the past? It could be a chief marketing officer at a bigger company or a bigger startup, or it could be and you're not giving up control when you get a seed. When you get some investors involved, and it depends what the size of the check they write, they ultimately will have a board seat, part of the board. And slowly, if another lead round investor comes in, they'll probably replace that seed round of angel investor, and that angel investor should be open to move aside, right? And then if a Series A investor, VC firm, gets involved and writes a bigger check for $10 million, that's serious seed, early stage VC firm will step aside off the board seat, and will be replaced by the Series A VC firm. And then and how many people you want on the board? Yeah, there's a lot of investors are in there. They're investing in you, not take over the company. They actually want you to run the company. They don't have time to replace you, because you, as a founder and CEO or part of the founding team, you guys actually know the business more than anyone. More than anyone, or more than your competitors, more than they learn from you.
So essentially, investors, they just want to, so let me try to understand that. So investors, they just want to dump their money and let you come back in several number of years and 10x their money. Is that what they essentially want you to do?
Yeah, there are silent investors like that, and that there are investors are hands-on, and they're giving you advice that make you better, and they put a full press team together to help you out. They'll put marketing team, hiring executives, or bringing other board members on board. So they're actually hands-on, and we're lucky enough to have 2 angel investors are amazingly involved in us with whatever we need. They're involved. If we don't need anything, they're like, whatever you need, we shoot them an email. Can we have a call? Can we have a meeting? Or can you work on this for us? They're on it immediately, and we're grateful for that.
Interesting. Yeah, that's good. Do you want to tell us about your company, or you want to reserve it for?
Well, next to me is basically it's on-demand real estate platform. So if you look, we're in the real estate industry. So if you're looking to buy or sell your next home, you'd be crazy not to use NextMe. And you find a listing and you click tour now and connect with the local agents, and you also get 50% commission refund back.
Okay, so if you are listening to this podcast and you are thinking about buying or selling a home and don't want to get involved with a traditional real estate agent, consider NextMe. It's an app, NextMe, NEXME, and you can use it like as an Uber. You can drive up to a home, or you can look for homes on the app and request an agent to come in real time to come open the door for you. If you like the house, you can have this agent write up an offer, and you receive 50% rebate of the commission. And if you don't like the house, no hard feelings, just moving on. No pressure. So again, Arian, this is you're not a sponsor in this podcast, but I'm just giving you a a shout out.
Thank you, Pavel.
Yes, NextMe is a platform for the people who are thinking about buying or selling real estate. All right. And if you are a real estate agent, you should consider partnering up with NextMe. A lot of our agents that I know have partnered up and very happy. So moving on. And so Arian, let's say, how do people start? And actually, like, if they start a company, how do they find money? So simple question. I know it's been asked a lot. How do you find money? How do you find, what are the the logistical steps to take to find people who will give you money besides Mom and Uncle Bob?
Yeah. So first, as I said, if you're a founder who has done this in the past, it's a lot easier for you to go and raise funds, right? But if you're a new founder and looking to do a startup, start with a product first, and get some users traction and get some revenue going. Be part of an accelerator program. NextMe, we are actually.
What is accelerator? Could you talk more about it? What is accelerator? Because people.
Yeah, so we're part of WTIA. It's Washington Technology Institution. So basically, it's a group of startups in the Seattle area, and basically, but in order to be part of that accelerator program, you also have to have a product, a team, or some kind of revenue, for them to accept you. But they'll take you under their wings, and they'll guide you how to build a company or build a team or get in front of investors, or how to pitch investors with a pitch deck, or and they'll get attorneys involved with the legality and what kind of term sheet are you going to provide angel investors, or you're not going to give a VC firm a term sheet. They actually give you a term sheet. So it works the other way around. So there's so many, and you get to be part of this cool group with other founders, and you learn from them. But if you're a first-time founder, just focus on what are you solving.
Product, right? What problem your product solves, basically, right?
Exactly. What's the solution to it, and go out there and sell it. And building a product, I've learned it's complicated. It depends how heavy of it depends if you're in a medical or if you're in.
But basically, the idea, I understand that you're not gonna get just money just for your idea. You need to have some sort of MVP, minimum viable product that functions and has some users already, so it shows that what revenue already comes in, and so the only probably way you would need funding is just to scale and to generate more revenue, and to improve the product and keep running it, keep operating it, instead of just, hey, I have an idea, I have a light bulb idea right now, let me get some money and I'll see how I do with it. No, the investors want to see that you actually have done something already. Okay. Before
you have to, you can't just go in there with an idea. Everybody has a great idea. It's all about execution.
Uber idea, new Uber. This is Uber of that. This is Uber of this. Yeah,
or Airbnb of that or that, and yeah. So, but you got to see if the customers want it and customers are using it, and just go from there. And the team is everything. Once you have the right team and a right team in place, you can actually build anything you want. If these guys are on board, that's it. That's all that matters.
Perfect. All right, Arian. Well, I need to wrap it up. It's been a pleasure seeing you and talking with you, brother. Hopefully we'll do another one soon. So we'll talk about other aspects of the business. I'm very curious to talk to you about what your thoughts on development in real estate, what's going to be happening in real estate business, since there was a recent announcement that Zillow started to hire agents to do their job, to actually work on salaried, on commission. That's a big step. I'm sure you're aware of it, right?
Nothing new. You should not be surprised.
I'm not surprised at all. But this is basically going to be milestone change in the real estate industry, and I'm glad you're there, brother. I'm glad you actually and that's in this change, and you are part of the change. So, so thank you for coming in, and let's have another conversation maybe sometimes next week and or so, because I want to hear your thoughts as far as what's the future going to hold for the real estate profession and business.
Exciting. I look forward to it.
All right, brother. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Pavel.
And if you guys like this podcast, please be sure to subscribe. Hit subscribe. Hit the little bell to get notifications when we go live, and also make sure to share it to your friends. All right. As always, guys, go crush it.